Do Yu Wang, a 37-year-old goalkeeper for the minor league soccer team Daxiang, hasn't had much of a career. Over the years, he's been involved in bizarre incidents like biting an opponent, pretending to be a woman to play for a female team, working as a human sushi plate, and modeling without clothes for artists. One day, Mr. Jin invites him for lunch, and Duo Yu assumes he's being recruited by a better team. However, Mr. Jin actually offers him money to lose his next match on purpose. Duo Yu refuses, saying he hates fraud and won't let the other team score even a single goal. On match day, Duo Yu becomes overconfident after catching one ball and ends up allowing the opposing team to score 5 goals. The other players even lift him in celebration for making their victory so easy. After this, Duo Yu is kicked off the team. Depressed, he locks himself in his apartment until his teammate and best friend Chiang Zhuang convinces him to visit the coach and try to get his job back. Unfortunately, the coach refuses, saying even a dog would be a better goalkeeper. When Chiang Zhuang threatens to quit if Duo Yu isn't reinstated, the coach happily lets them both go, considering it a win for the team. While driving home, they stop at a red light where a traffic racketeer pretends to get hit by their car. The man won't admit he's faking, so Duo Yu and Chiang Zhuang grab him, bump him against the car, and use him to clean the windshield. Xia Zhu, a young woman passing by, sees the scene, assumes they're bullies, and starts recording them with her phone. She gathers witnesses and calls them out, ignoring the racketeer's explanation. This gets Duo Yu and Chiang Zhuang arrested. The person who bails them out is Mr. Jin, who reveals he isn't involved in the soccer business at all. Their previous meeting had been a test. He takes them to his office, where Chiang Zhuang is asked to wait outside. Inside, Duo Yu meets Mr. Yin and Mr. Lai from Guangming Trust Fund. They explain that Duo Yu's grandfather had a brother who was estranged from the family and believed to be dead, but had actually passed away just last month. Duo Yu is the sole heir to his fortune, but he must pass a test outlined in a video recorded by his second grandfather before his death. Duo Yu must spend 2 billion yuan in 1 month, and if he succeeds, he will inherit the rest of his second grandfather's fortune, 30 billion yuan. However, there are strict conditions. The money must be spent legally. He can't have any assets left by the end of the month. He can't give money as gifts or to charity, and all expenses must be for himself. He can hire up to 100 people, but must accept their services. He can't destroy valuable items he buys. He can't excessively inflate market prices, and he's forbidden from telling anyone about the challenge. If Duo Yu fails, the money remains in the trust fund for Mr. Yin and Mr. Lai to use. Alternatively, he can take a coward clause and leave with 10 million yuan, forfeiting the challenge entirely. Duo Yu decides to take the challenge. Mr. Jin informs him that he'll be monitored closely for the next month to ensure he follows the rules. He also assigns Xia Zhu, an accountant, to track Duo Yu's expenses. Xia Zhu, still upset about what she saw on the street earlier, doesn't want to work for Duo Yu, but he hires her anyway to spite her for getting him arrested. Duo Yu brings Chiang Zhuang along as they head to the bank vault to see the money. The sight of so much cash in one place almost makes them faint. On their way out, carrying bags of money, Duo Yu starts spending immediately by hiring all the guards at the bank, offering them ridiculous salaries. Next, he rents a fleet of luxury cars and heads to visit his old soccer team. Duo Yu announces that he's renting their team and the major league team Hengtai for an upcoming match after he renovates the stadium. The team doesn't believe him and laughs, so Duo Yu proves his wealth by having an excavator dump a pile of cash on the soccer field. The team quickly joins him, hopping into the rented cars, while Duo Yu rides separately with Xia Zhu. He tries flirting with her, but she tells him she has a boyfriend, an inspirational speaker who values positivity over money. They soon arrive at an exclusive luxury hotel that requires membership. Duo Yu simply offers the manager a massive sum to rent the entire hotel for the month. The manager agrees, impressed by the money, and sets them up in the dining room for a celebratory banquet. Since the soccer team is now on his payroll, all these expenses fall within the rules. During dinner, Duo Yu announces he will open a new investment company and appoints Chiang Zhuang as the CEO. Chiang Zhuang feels deeply moved by this, not realizing Duo Yu intentionally chose someone inexperienced to ensure he loses money. From then on, Duo Yu starts spending extravagantly, including paying 1 million yuan for a haircut and renting clothes, furniture, and cars instead of buying them. This puzzles Xia Zhu, who thinks it would be cheaper to buy. She mentions that at his current pace, he'll lose everything in 6 months, which is too fast for her liking, but too slow for him. Of course, Duo Yu can't explain the real reason behind his actions. At that moment, Xia Zhu's boyfriend, Jianan Liu, shows up to take her to his lecture about avoiding the traps of money. After declining a drink, Jianan talks about his lecture, which hasn't sold any tickets. Duo Yu takes cash from his safe and buys all the tickets for his soccer team, making Jianan abandon his anti-money beliefs instantly. Jianan even accepts a drink, though he usually doesn't drink, and offers to work as a gardener, which Duo Yu hires him for. Disappointed by Jianan's sudden change, Xia Zhu breaks breaks up with him. Later, Duo Yu holds the first meeting at his investment company and instructs the team to invest in risky sunset industries that could shut down anytime. A man interrupts the meeting, seeking funding for a bizarre invention, a machine that lets people swim on land. Duo Yu gives him money and invites anyone else with unusual dreams to pitch ideas so he can fund them all, no matter how absurd. The next day, while getting a massage, the masseuse Shasha tries to seduce Duo Yu, refusing to take no for an answer. She corners him against a statue, but Xiaju arrives just in time to remind Duo Yu of their next meeting, saving him from the awkward situation. At the golf course, Duo Yu meets Mr. Yin and Mr. Lai, where his soccer team is now training. He sees Shasha again and realizes Yin and Lai hired her to spy on him and make him lose the challenge. Duo Yu invites Yin and Lai to lunch, but since the rules only allow him to treat employees, he serves them instant ramen. One of them quotes the renowned businessman Mr. Lafitte, so Duo Yu decides to spend a fortune to bring Lafitte to China for lunch. With Xiaju as the interpreter, Duo Yu asks Lafitte to share stories about his worst investments because he wants lessons on business failures. Lafitte finds this request offensive, as he only teaches success, and leaves without even touching the food. Xiaju gets upset with Duo Yu for being so rude and leaves, but he chases after her in his car while listening to her talk about how people call her the Black Widow of the investment world because every company she's worked for went bankrupt. She hides this fact from her resume, fearing it will get her fired. Duo Yu, however, sees it as a positive thing and tells her that while others may call her a Black Widow, he considers her the mascot of his company. Duo Yu continues to spend money in outrageous ways, hiring servants for even the smallest parts of his daily routine. His mood takes a turn, though, when he learns that the investments he intentionally chose to fail have all turned out successful, making him even more money. Frustrated, Duo Yu sends everyone away and throws a tantrum in the meeting room, cursing his bad luck. Yin and Lai see the news on TV and laugh at his struggles with the challenge. That night, Duo Yu has a nightmare about burning the money and meeting his second grandfather. He's woken up by Chiang Zhuang, who wants to introduce him to an old friend to see if he can join the team. When Duo Yu sees the man's poor condition, wearing cheap clothes and having a bad eye, he hires him immediately. Touched by the gesture, Chiang Zhuang promises they'll work hard and maybe celebrate with fireworks someday, which gives Duo Yu an idea. Meanwhile, Xiaju spends her birthday alone in her apartment with a small cake until Jianan shows up uninvited. After giving her flowers, he takes her cake and starts eating it without asking. He tells her about his idea for a book and asks her to request funding from Duo Yu. Annoyed, Xiaju smashes the cake on his face, kicks him out, and then goes to see Duo Yu for work matters. Duo Yu, however, doesn't let her talk about business. Instead, he shows her the surprise he's prepared, thousands of fireworks lighting up the entire city. When Xiaju mentions it's her birthday, Duo Yu pretends it's a present for her, though he had no idea about the date. While the gesture touches Xiaju, she still tells him they can't date because they're from different worlds, and she will only see him as an uncle or brother. Later, Xiaju discovers posters with her face plastered all over the city. Duo Yu has put them up, along with TV and radio ads, to convince her to give him a chance. The publicity draws the attention of the public, who start following her around for selfies. Frustrated, she calls Duo Yu to resolve the issue, but he just invites her to a concert. Angry, Xiaju hangs up and takes a taxi while hiding her face. When the taxi stops at a red light, the same traffic racketeer from before appears and pretends to be hurt again, making Xiaju realize Duo Yu had been telling the truth all along. Seeing him in a new light, she heads to the hotel and accepts Duo Yu's concert invitation, saying she wants to get to know him better. The concert turns out to be private, held in the hotel with her favorite singer. After dancing and taking pictures with the singer, Duo Yu takes Xiaju out for dinner. They later play soccer with some kids in the park and enjoy a peaceful walk by the river. Meanwhile, Yin and Lai contact Jianan and hire him to help them make Duo Yu lose the challenge. As for Duo Yu, he becomes more stressed when he catches his soccer team partying instead of training. To make matters worse, Chiang Zhuang informs him the company has earned another billion. Frustrated, Duo Yu punches his friend and throws himself into the swimming pool to calm down. While reflecting on everything he's experienced so far, he comes up with an idea. With Mr. Jin's approval, Duo Yu holds a special presentation at the mall to announce his new project, a fat insurance program. Participants pay just 1 yuan, and the company will pay them back for every gram they lose. The program becomes an instant hit, driving Yin and Lai crazy. However, Mr. Jin points out that insurance is a legal business, and what Duo Yu has done is within the rules. Soon, large numbers of people sign up for the program and start exercising all over the city, often with Duo Yu leading the way. Gyms become overcrowded, and people turn to alternatives like using stairs and land swimming machines. The program earns Duo Yu the title of Humanitarian of the Year. When he accepts the award on stage, he tries to explain that his motivation is purely business success, but nobody takes him seriously. On the day of the big soccer match, the Hengtai team boasts they'll break records with a double-digit score. Most of the stadium cheers for Hengtai, while Daxiang only has a small group of fans. Despite this, Daxiang makes a dramatic entrance by arriving in helicopters. As the match starts, Qiang Zhuang pretends to be injured, causing the top Hengtai player to receive a red card and giving Daxiang a one-player advantage. Unfortunately, this isn't enough, and by halftime, Hengtai has scored 8 goals while Daxiang has none. Duo Yu decides they must at least stop Hengtai from reaching double digits to save face. In the second half, Daxiang tries absurd tactics, like forming a circle around the opposing players. Even this fails to prevent Hengtai from scoring their 9th goal. Desperate, Daxiang goes for their final strategy, placing every player in front of their goal to block incoming shots, using any part of their bodies, even their faces or groins, to stop the ball. Meanwhile, in the audience, Xiaozhu confronts Jianan about the missing payments in the paperwork, realizing he's been doing it on purpose to make it seem like Duo Yu is spending less money. Frustrated by her loyalty to Duo Yu, Jianan confesses the truth about the challenge and claims Duo Yu is just using her. He tries to win her back, but Xiaozhu hits him with her purse and leaves the stadium, intending to report everything to Mr. Jin. Jianan chases after her, following her into a shady part of the neighborhood. Back at the game, the Daxiang team defends their goal with everything they've got, enduring bruises and injuries. Their determination wins over the audience, who start cheering for them. Even their coach tries to join the game when they run out of substitutes, but he slips on a water bottle and is sidelined before he can contribute. Despite the odds, the team's bond and the crowd's support motivate them to hold on and prevent Hengtai from scoring another goal. When the referee blows the whistle to end the match with a score of 0-9, the entire stadium erupts in celebration, as if Daxiang had won. Keeping such a powerful team from reaching double digits feels like a victory. Amid the celebrations, Duo Yu gets a call from Xiaozhu's phone, but a strange voice answers, claiming to have kidnapped her. The caller sends a photo as proof. Believing this to be another scheme by Yin and Lai, Duo Yu hires some criminals to interrogate them. However, Yin and Lai only admit to hiring Jianan to fake the paperwork, nothing about the kidnapping. Duo Yu gets another call from the kidnapper, who shows Jianan being pushed to the edge of a building and threatens to do the same to Xiaozhu if Duo Yu doesn't pay 10 million yuan before 6 o'clock. This puts Duo Yu in a tough spot. If he pays to save Xiaozhu, he'll break the rules of the challenge and lose his second grandfather's fortune. What Duo Yu doesn't realize is that this is the final test his grandfather left for him. He must prove that he values a human life more than money. If he chooses to save Xiaozhu, he will pass the challenge and win the full inheritance. Unbeknownst to Duo Yu, Xiaozhu and Jianan are safe, and the kidnapper is actually Mr. Jin, who believes in Duo Yu and trusts he will make the right decision. As time goes by, Duo Yu spends the hours drinking and singing at a karaoke bar, not showing up at the appointed time. By 6 o'clock, Mr. Jin and Xiaozhu prepare to leave, feeling disappointed that Duo Yu hasn't come through. However, as they reach the stairs, they find him crying, holding bags of money, ready to trade everything for Xiaozhu's life. Mr. Jin congratulates him for passing the test and plays the final message from Duo Yu's grandfather. In the message, the grandfather wonders why he never married or had children despite being so wealthy. At that moment, Mr. Jin reveals he was the grandfather's partner. Months later, Duo Yu and a very pregnant Xiaozhu return from traveling the world. After enjoying life together, they decide it's time to donate all their money. However, during the paperwork process, they realize they'll need to keep some money for their future baby. The couple begins making a list of necessities for their child. While it starts with simple items, the list quickly grows to include extravagant things, leaving them with plans that might end up with them donating nothing at all.